I'm going to back up just for a moment for the one specific item here that we will talk about likely in greater detail later here, and that was the Magic City Equality flag raising. And that was in respect to the size of the flag. I did have a number of people that reached out to me regarding flag etiquette, and certainly take full responsibility for the oversight of the size of the flag, as that was something that I absolutely should have checked on prior to raising. However, the issue was identified immediately. The flag was then lowered until the proper size of the flag was found, and that is under U.S. Code Title Section 4, Section 7, underline G and F. So. Actually respond through a number of conversations that I'd had with a number of people that are in the LGBT community, and I am friends with some of those folks that fit under that, and not necessarily that they identify with that group itself, and I say that group as the organization of itself. And listening to the stories of some of the absolute hatred that they had endured simply because of being different, and I want to use that word different as the premise of what led down to this discussion, is that it's been referenced a couple of times that there isn't hate, or that they're not against those folks. There's been a lot of phone calls that I've taken, and again, I apologize for not getting back to you. This is the answer. I've experienced a tremendous amount of hate towards me and towards the folks that fit under that umbrella. So what led to my decision on that was also seeing a population within our community that does need to have that issue addressed, the issue of hate. When they came to me, they had stated that they wanted a call for kindness, not necessarily acceptance, but a call for kindness. And that I can appreciate.
Wendy Walker, 517 Main Street South in Minot. Before we disperse, I want to thank every one of you
Say, ma'am,
who has spoken tonight.
Ma'am, you address the council and not the audience.
I will.
Thank you.
But I just had to say thank you. It came to my attention last Thursday evening that the gay pride flag was flying over our city hall in Minot. Friday morning, I called Mayor Sitma and all the aldermen. I did not hear back from Mr. Mayor or Mr. Padragula. Thank you, all of the rest of you, for returning my call or picking up my phone call when I called you. Thank you so very much. Mr. Mayor, I would like to understand how the decision was made to fly a flag of a special interest group. Now, do you want me to pause so you can answer my questions?
I can certainly answer them at the end so you can have your 5 minutes, or it's your choice.
Okay, I'll pause so you can answer them. Number one, who brought the proclamation to you to fly the LGBT flag?
If you're asking on who brought the proclamation, I would look
yes.
to Alderwoman Evans.
Alderwoman Evans, okay.
So that
what was the date that she brought that proclamation to you? I'm not speaking to you right now, ma'am.
Are you asking questions,
I'm
or do
asking
you want
the mayor
answers?
questions.
And he said I can answer the question for him. So do you want the...
No, that's all I was asking, who brought the proclamation.
Okay, keep on
Thank you.
asking your
5
rhetorical
minutes.
questions.
Okay, what was that date that she brought that proclamation to you, sir?
I would actually have to look back at the date. I don't recall it off the top
Well,
of my
we'd
head.
like to know. Please check on that and get back to me. The next question is, were the council members aware of the proclamation that was brought to you?
The answer to that is no, typically because proclamations issued by the mayor don't come before council unless they are ratified for policy.
So they did not have any input? No, none of these other council members had any input, except Ms. Evans?
None of the aldermen have had input on any of the other times that flags have been flown either.
but she did have input.
She had asked.
She brought the
She
proclamation.
had brought the proclamation.
Okay.
To my attention, yes.
Okay,
I'm sorry, it was.
I did not.
Okay.
did
I
not
stand
even know it was
corrected.
coming because that was the first council meeting I was sworn in.
Okay. I stand corrected, ma'am.
who brought the proclamation?
Magic City Equality.
How was the decision made by you to fly the flag over City Hall, this LGBT flag?
Well, thank you for the question. I do appreciate the opportunity to actually respond. Through a number of conversations that I'd had with a number of people that are in the LGBT community, and I am friends with some of those folks that fit under that, and not necessarily that they identify with that group itself. And I say that group as the organization of itself. And listening to the stories of some of the absolute hatred that they had endured simply because of being different. And I want to use that word different as the premise of what led down to this discussion, is that it's been referenced a couple of times that there isn't hate, or that they're not against those folks. There's been a lot of phone calls that I've taken, and again, I apologize for not getting back to you. This is the answer. I've experienced a tremendous amount of hate towards me and towards the folks that fit under that umbrella. So what led to my decision on that was also seeing a population within our community that does need to have that issue addressed, the issue of hate. When they came to me, they had stated that they wanted a call for kindness, not necessarily acceptance, but a call for kindness. And that I can appreciate.
I'm going to press on here.
Please.
Sir. Okay. How was your decision to fly the flag conveyed to the community at large? Through the newspaper, the radio, the TV?
I think the folks on Facebook Live and the media was here.
But when you set the date to do that, how did we, the community at large, get that message that this was going to happen on that date?
I think the organization had put out a press release as why the media was there.
But they were there on that date, right?
Yes.
Correct?
It was on
But I'm
Wednesday.
asking, did we have any foreknowledge that this event was going to take place?
That was the press release that I mentioned, yes.
And when was that?
Magic City Equality put that out, ma'am. Didn't come from City Hall.
Okay. City Hall is not a good place to fly a flag representing a special interest group. No special interest group should be permitted to fly their flag on the City Hall flagpole. There already is a flag flying above the City Hall that represents each one of us. It's the flag of the United States of America. Can we expect to see a Black Lives Matter flag flying over our City Hall in the near future? Because that is the rumor I hear in our community, that this is in the works.
I smirk, ma'am, because that is one of the immediate questions, is whether Antifa or Black Lives Matter. And for folks that represent hate or those that are geared towards violence, absolutely not.
Okay. One more thing, Mr. Mayor. Making this decision on your own is way too much power. And we're not happy. That flag is called an abomination to God. We love God and must stand for truth. When the righteous rule, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people mourn.
Mayor?
Alderman Patagula.
Just for the record, a correction. A previous person said that they called me and I didn't return their call. I never received a message. Every call that everyone that calls I try to talk to, emails, if they're a mass market approach, I don't respond to, but normally I try to. So just wanted to correct the record on that. If you call me, I'll call you back.
If you would, sir, name and address for the record, please.
Walker, 517 South Main Street, Minot. I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight, Mr. Mayor, as well as the Alderman. I do have to correct you, I think, on something, Mr. Mayor. You've interjected the term anger. Nobody else has used the term, no, hatred, I'm sorry, excuse me. You said hatred. 3 or 4 times you've used the word hatred. Nobody else here has used that word. They're angry. Your term is inflammatory. And I think you should rethink that. But I would like to thank all the aldermen and you, Mr. Mayor. You're obviously, based on your body language, you're in touch with what's going on here tonight. Everybody but Miss Evans. She's not in touch at all with what's going on here. All you have to do is observe her body language. You gentlemen, and you ma'am, and you're sucking it up. You're listening, you're hearing it, you're getting it. She's not.
Can I tell you, no, Mr. Mayor, I have to respond.
Alderwoman
Hold
Evans,
it.
we'll give him his 5 minutes, and I'll give you
Hold it.
response after that.
I'm gonna involve you pretty soon, so you get your chance.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Walker.
You bet. You deserve to have your voice heard. So, Mr. Mayor, you shared with us who brought this proclamation to you. Who was that again?
That was the committee, as corrected.
The committee, what committee?
That would be the committee.
City Equality.
Magic City Equality.
Magic
Group.
City Equality. So now I have a question from Miss Evans.
You bet.
What is your connection and/or involvement with that group?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I have attended some of their events.
Okay. That's it.
That is
Nothing,
it.
nothing more.
Nothing more, sir.
Okay. Could you share with us your thoughts about that flag being flown?
Oh, you bet. So, as some of you may not be aware,
And just one point.
yes, Mr. Walker.
I've heard enough, I'll put my hand up,
Okay.
just like the mayor does with us.
Okay.
I'm not waving
But
at
guess
you.
what? You don't get to tell me when I can stop speaking.
Well, I'm going to.
I'm an elected official. You can't do
Can
that.
I do that, Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Walker, if she's given the floor, I'm going to give her the 5 minutes, just like everyone else.
Okay,
And I
5
will
minutes.
let you finish up your 5 minutes.
And you'll start the clock.
Clock is running as soon
Please,
as.
please
I don't
go
need
ahead.
5 minutes.
Please go ahead.
So, Mr. Walker, if you're not aware, and I think a lot of people in this room are not aware and have come here just because this is a gay issue, I am proudly the first openly elected lesbian in North Dakota. So that is why I'm not paying any heed to your crap. We the people, I'm the people. I live in Minot. I have a taxpayer. I am a person. I get to see myself represented on that flagpole just as much as the people who got the Juneteenth flag last month, as much as the POW MIAs will get later this month. Every single person is entitled to see themselves represented. We are not some group of people who live in San Francisco or Seattle. We are here. We are your elected officials. We are your brothers. We are your sisters. And don't tell me you're not hatred and anger. That's all I feel. I've had to listen to it for days now, as is the mayor and many of my colleagues. It is unacceptable. This city is big enough for all of us. Me having a flag flying doesn't take away anything from your rights and freedoms. But you know what it does for me? It shows me I live in a city that appreciates and embraces me and the people of my community, and that I can live here and feel safe. That's what it does. I'm sorry it doesn't make you feel comfortable, but we're here, we're queer, and we're not going away.
Thank you. Thank you for exposing yourself and your anger.
That's anger right
And hatred.
That is, you bet.
Because, Mr. Mayor, that pin you have on your coat there, what is that a pin of?
If you're talking about the red, white, and blue,
Yeah.
that is the American flag.
That's the
And I
American
think your eyes
flag.
are good enough to see that.
And who does that represent?
Excuse me, I will not stand for any kind of the peanut gallery stuff. We have one gentleman at the podium, and that is going to stand. If anybody else has the problem with that, I will have and ask that you be removed. Thank you. It represents Americans.
All Americans?
I don't like to repeat myself.
Does it represent all Americans?
I think I've already answered that.
Wow. It represents, being you don't know the correct answer, I'll give it to you. It represents all Americans, all of us. And it represents.
Miss Evans, please.
Are you going to, would you stop interrupting me, please? It represents Miss Evans as well. Everybody is represented by that flag. We do not have to fly any other flags below it because everybody is already represented. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. For reference, under the U.S. Code Title IV, Section 7, subsection F, for reference, it reads, when flags of the United States, cities or localities or pennants of societies are flown on the same halyard with the flag of the United States, the latter should always be at the peak, meaning the United States flag always at the peak. And that is where I took my reference when the request came, not only for this flag, but for the others, just so that everyone else understands, and that is under the U.S. Code.
It's the lifestyle. But you mentioned earlier that you ran and you're the first openly gay official and commissioner or official in North Dakota. And I remember getting a call from your mother. I don't think it was all above board. I remember getting a call from your mother, will you vote for my daughter? Will you vote for my daughter? And I got a postcard in the mail. And I thought, great, another woman, another voice. But after you took the seat and you had said that you were gay, I thought, well, you know, that was a pretty dishonest move. But maybe you felt you had to do that. The other thing I want to mention is to correlate the LGBTQ flag with the POW MIA flag is something I can't stomach. I don't think anybody else maybe in this room can stomach that either. But I want you to, you know, no one hates you. You have talents. I'm sure, you know, the people who know you love you. What's issue here is people believe God has stated how people should live and believe that, and we are on the other side of the fence. So that, I think that's what's issued here.
So I just want to respond to one thing. Did my mother share with you that I also have multiple sclerosis when she called?
Well, I don't think that's.
No, but I mean, I was very upfront about my MS and my sexual orientation on my website. It was not certainly a campaign issue. It is part of who I am, just like having MS is part of who I am. Certainly, it's not what I lead in with when I call a voter and ask for their vote, because it shouldn't matter who I love. For if you elect me as your city council member, it shouldn't matter. You're electing me because I'm competent and I will represent your viewpoints.
I would like to know how.
Hey, excuse me, you are not at the podium
Why does she get to do that without?
because
Because you know what?
because I am the presiding officer.
You didn't reside this. I want to say,
I am going to ask you now to be quiet, or I am going to ask you to leave the chambers. I am asking for her to finish, and then Ms. Sessions can respond, and then we can move forward.
Well, I only brought it up because you make it such an issue. You made this, but
I didn't
telling-
until you guys reacted this way to me and my community last week.
I just have one thing to say to the
how can
council.
we sit back at the city and let these people run you like this? This is a shame.
Is-
I believe, and I'm sorry, This is wrong. She butts in.
You're
and says
pushing
she
your
won't.
agenda.
This
You're
is
pushing
wrong.
your agenda.
I'm not gonna let her listen to that.
Ms. Sessions, just pause for a second.
That's
I am
okay.
going to wait for them to leave.
No, 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 no.
And then you can continue.
I don't blame him. So I'm finished. Thank you.
Woman Evans here for her.
Before I make a motion, I'd like to take a point of personal privilege. I thought I was going to hold it together, but my dad just must have been watching and walked in to come here to support me, a veteran of 21 years of the United States Air Force, who was with me last week when the flag was raised, as a proud veteran and a dad. So I just want to say thank you. Okay, back to
we actually applied for our nonprofit 501c3. And during that time, we became one of the first ever in the state of North Dakota, a LGBTQ2 plus civil rights organization, activist organization. And with that, we created programs under this umbrella of Magic City Equality. And tribal entities, gay marriage is now recognized. So I and a few others challenged my hometown, my tribe, my tribal reservation, and Magic City Equality created a march, and we had some organizers from the town that kind of assisted with us as well. And since I was an enrolled member, I got to speak on behalf of Magic City Equality as well as an enrolled member. And we actually turned that law. So it's the first ever in the state of North Dakota for an indigenous tribe to recognize same-sex marriage. So we're changing laws behind all of that.
Okay. Was it?
He was we pre-met, we show the resolution, our purpose and everything. He was like, yeah, I'll bring, it was ultimately up to him.
Mm-hmm.
But he was supportive. He heard us. He's seen us. And he even said, too, we live in 2020. Why is this even a debate anymore?
Mm-hmm.
I said, exactly. And then, he was also nervous, too, because, he's a mayor of Minot. He sees he sees discrimination. But I don't think he ever imagined. I knew he knew that there was some people who would oppose it. I don't think he ever thought in a million years that this would not only make national but world news in a lot of ways. And I remember the flag raising, and we were all crying. And I remember looking at Miss Evans, because I've come to become close with Carrie, and I look looked at her and we both immediately just started crying and we hugged each other. And it was like kind of like a powerhouse kind of a thing. And people accused her of having her own agenda here and there, but people don't understand. We're the ones that apply for the proclamation, Magic City Equality. People accused her of having her own agenda here and there, but people don't understand. We're the ones that apply for the proclamation, Magic City Equality. We're the ones that
she
put that
explained
paperwork
that.
in. And so, kind of going forward, people were opposed. Well, we found out through the grapevine that people were going to go to the next city meeting and they were going to protest it, tell us what they thought of us, kind of a thing. And so I, on the board, because we changed our titles from like treasurer, vice president, president, and so on and so forth, and we became the curators and the executive directors of Magic City Equality, I, Jen, Shannon, and Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And we have other people on our board now. Like our board has grown. It started out with 4, and now we're up to like 10 people, 8 to 10 people on our board. So it's grown relatively in a couple of years, right? So we all decided, executive board members specifically, others, that could have joined, we left it up to them. But we were going to go to that first meeting. We were going to go. We were going to, take our stand and kind of face everything head on, because we have never been, our organization has always fought discrimination point blank. For an example, a couple months prior, the GOP let out some rhetoric of how the LGBTQ2+ are going after the youth and we're rapists and it's a mental disorder and so on and so forth. Like something from the 1960s textbooks, pretty much. And the media right away will come to Magic City Equality, and we flat out just told them that not only are they being discriminatory, but they are point blank they are bigots.
And this was the North Dakota GOP?
Yep. Look it up. Just look it up. You'll see, and you'll see, then type in Magic City Equality GOP, whatever, and you'll actually see our statements too.
Yeah, I may have read that, but I'll certainly reach out just to verify once I get a chance to find it.
Well, even the governor even said the Governor Burgum said, well, he doesn't support this and
that's right. No, I did read this article. Okay.
And they pretty much should be ashamed of themselves. So we've always faced things head on, and people in the media and North Dakota, when it comes to LGBTQ2+ issues, will come to us first. Our organization, Magic City Equality. Well, we were deciding to go in. It was about 1 to 2 hours before we were supposed to go there to the first meeting. We get a death threat.
And how did that death threat arrive?
Email. It went to our Magic City Equality email, which is linked to all the directors.
Do you know who? It's linked. So every one of the directors got a message.
Yes, and so it was.
So what was the conversation like amongst Magic City Equality, like the members?
It basically said that we were going to die, and that they were looking for us. Pretty much, it's still an ongoing investigation.
Yeah. No. Have you heard anything? I mean, I might reach out to the police department, but I don't think I'll hear much.
As of right now, we still have not heard. It's still ongoing, as what we were told. And so for the security purposes, for not only the public, for the council people, for ourselves, we decided to release a statement, which we did, but then also to not go to the first meeting. We decided that, we'll go to the next one, but we weren't going to tell a soul. It was going to be amongst us four. Not even the other board members were really going to know. Like, no one was going to know.
No one was. I'm sorry.
And then she got her master's and her PhD, and she should have gotten her PhD, but her professor and her had a disagreement, and she wanted Carrie to change something in that final, whatever you call it, and Carrie, I guess stubborn, wouldn't. So the professor wouldn't sign off on her PhD, but other professors had told her that they would look at the paper and they would do it, but I don't know why she didn't. But anyways, after that, she went to law school in Toronto, Canada, and then I was proud of her, it's a great accomplishment.
Oh, it
And
really
it's
is.
not easy. It takes a lot of hard work
Mm-hmm.
and devotion.
So
No, I supported her, but in the back of my mind, I thought, oh, it's a lot of work, and who appreciates it anyways? And, you still got people complaining and blah, 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 and, but I was happy for her. She felt she could make a difference.
mm-hmm.
And so they didn't have any blacks working. I was the first black clerk to get hired there in Minot. And then after me, there was one other guy that came on, and then they didn't have any black letter carriers either. And they hired a black carrier, and then they had a native girl come on as a carrier. Because they didn't have, she didn't last long. She was there for a couple of months, but she didn't think they were treating her fair or whatever, because she was low, and she was doing, when you're low, you have to do all the I guess junk going out and picking up the mail. You're low on the totem pole, so you don't have a route, so you pick up everything else. But that was it. So I just, in fact, the second in charge, I had the postmaster, but the second in charge was Larry Ronnie. When he hired me, I had to go in and talk with him. He told me, "I'm gonna hire you, but I need to talk to you." And he said, "Well," and seeing the fact that I would be the only black on the floor, black person on the floor, he said, he says, all these guys here are not used to, uh, anybody else being around. He said, something might happen, it might slip or something like that. You might hear some things or whatever. And that's when I told him, I said, well, I just spent 21 years in the military, so you can't say anything I haven't heard. Even in elementary school and everything, she always talked about being a lawyer.
Well, yeah, she went to school for it, I believe. I
Yeah,
believe graduated.
She graduated high school and went to Minot State, and back then she took credits.
Mm-hmm.
She took every credit you could. She I think they kind of put a halt to the amount of credits you could take. She had something to do with her behind that because she was taking all kinds of credit. She I think within little over 2 years or whatever, or something like that, she got a degree, and then left and went to I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot. For one thing, the flag that they found, the rainbow flag that they found was huge.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the part of the issue was they did raise it and everything. And but the thing, one of the issues was it never should have been bigger than the American flag. And that was part of the issue there. So they did lower it and take it down, and then somebody went and got another rainbow flag that was more representative, less smaller than the American flag, and they left it up for about a day. I think it was supposed to stay up for a while, but it was only up for maybe a day or so, and then it was down. Well, I've been out. I forget where I've been. Anyway, I'd hanging out with a couple of friends and everything, and I came in and I was sitting there, and as the meeting was going on, I was just everybody was getting up one after the other and talking about the flag and how it's going to ruin America and ruin the city and everything. And they were really giving stood there about a half hour, 45 minutes. You know, I just got up and just went down, parked, and went in and everything. You know, there's a few people downstairs, and he was talking about it, you know, denounce and everything about the flag, and I stopped and listened to him a little bit, you know, and see what they had to say and everything, you know, and wasn't getting there and everything. So I just went on upstairs, you know, and walked in and didn't go all the way up front, but I been halfway up and everything, and I was sitting there, you know, just to let her know that, you know, that I was there.
What has been your experience with Magic City Equality before the September 9th? So like all this is pre, you know, the flag stuff. What is your experience with them been? How have you worked with them?
So I got involved with Magic City Equality when they were Pride Minot in about 2016, 2017. I was in the 7th grade, and I went to Pride 7th and 8th grade, and then I started to get involved more. I started going to their YOU meetings, which is Youth Outreach and Upreach, and that's just like a youth LGBT like support group, and we talk about like big issues. And now actually I help run those meetings, so that's good, and I get to help other LGBT youth in our community, which brings me a lot of joy. And then we have in November, December last year, we started Trans Action for gender nonconforming, gender fluid, and transgender youth and adults. So I go to those meetings as well, which is really great, and they help me learn a lot about binder safety and a lot of we just learn about like all different things. And if you have questions about like transitioning or anything like that, then they can help with that too, and they're super supportive.
Can you inform me more about binder safety? I don't know.
So binder safety is so when trans men, it's like to flatten your chest. So it's like how to explain it?
I mean, I understand. I understand the concept in which you're speaking to now, but you know, what is the safety aspect of it?
Yeah, because like you can only wear like a chest binder for 8 to 10 hours, and you can't use ace bandages because it can invert your ribs, and then you won't be able to qualify for like top surgery in the future, or it can cause a lot of medical issues. You can't sleep in them. You're not supposed to exercise in them unless they're size bigger than what you wear normally. If you use KT tape, there's a certain way you have to do it.
You know, the Carrie I know, she's just one of the most compassionate. You know, anybody that's a minority or somebody that's an underdog, she's always out there for them. You know, it's just like she's the most amazing person. You know, I am so proud to be, you know, in her life like that.
I'm trying to learn more about the effects, and you know, thank you. You actually did explain quite a bit. So yeah, and did you volunteer for Carrie's candidacy for city council?
Oh yes, oh of course.
What did you do for the campaign?
Well, it was during COVID time. We couldn't, we couldn't go from door to door to door canvassing or anything like that. So basically, she they have the lists that they call, and she provided me with the list, and we worked on a script because um, I'm just not that. Like I said, I'm not that. But once I have the knowledge behind me and have a script, I would call people and ask them ask them to vote for Carrie, and like phone canvassing, I guess you call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's say you were giving me a call and I lived in Minot. What would you try to let me know as a Minot resident or what were the typical questions that you received from the residents about Carrie and her campaign?
Well, I'd start out the conversation that I'm calling on behalf of Carrie Evans, my goddaughter Carrie Evans, and she's running for city council, and I forget what else we said. It gave her qualifications, and then we asked, would you be interested in would you vote for Carrie? And they'd ask you. Or usually people had an opinion or uh, or a question on why I thought she'd be a good candidate, and
It's fine.
I'd tell them why I thought she was, as in she's had experience, and she you know what? I'm just kind of running a blank. I had it all written down,
It's
and I
totally
know what,
it's
what I
totally
want.
fine. If something
But,
comes
I'm
up,
just having trouble saying it.
no,
But
no,
I
good.
try to. I would tell them what I thought of Carrie, and how I knew her, and that she was an excellent candidate, and that she'd do a job well. And like I had a script, because like I said,
Yeah.
I'm not that good at talking. But I tried to put, and it was it was a lot of people had heard about her, and they were all for her. Anyway, I think she was. We were calling people on that were off of a democratic voting list.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was easy talking to the people that once I got used to it. It was a bit hard, like it is for me right now. But once I got going, it was very easy to explain to them why I thought Carrie was excellent candidate, and why I thought she would do an excellent job, and I always tried to tell them she wouldn't be she'd be what is it, bipartisan, and she would, her sense of fairness with people. I mean, she's just she's amazing like that.
Mm-hmm. And then
Yeah, I think she would just thought it would be a good opportunity. I remember she went down there and stuff, and of course, with any career change, because after law school, I'm not sure if she knew 100% what she was going to do with going to law school in Canada. You know, it was a bit different to get. You couldn't just go take your bar in any state. So I'm not sure, like, she kind of knew what she was going to do. And this opportunity came up, and just like with anything, you know, you just, I can't recall her being apprehensive or anything about it, but just wondering if that's the right move at that time.
Okay, thank you. Did you volunteer your time for Carrie's candidacy for city council?
Yeah.
What did you do for the campaign?
I just would do the phone calls.
Okay, yeah. Let's say you were calling me and, you know, I was a Minot resident, you know, how would you have, like, what would the conversation have been like?
Carrie had kind of written a script for us to go off of. I would just, first of all, just ask them if they knew the elections were coming up. And if they weren't familiar with it, let them know and tell them when the election was. And then just briefly introduce myself and say, you know, I'm her brother. I'm a bit biased, but my sister's running for city council. And then just say the website or ways to find out. And then just ask if they did have any questions. And then in regards to Carrie, and then most of them didn't, but some of them did. And then
what are the questions they would ask you?
Some would be like policy. Like I remember there was quite a few like about if they what her thoughts are on us building another high school in the community. Another common one was her thoughts on the current mayor. People seem to either really love him or hate him. And then commonly, because I had a talk with Carrie, and she said, I don't want you to be honest, or dishonest. And she would say, like, some people would come out and ask and be like, well, you know, if they had another election, would she vote for Trump? And so I got a lot of clicks after saying, I think I can pretty confidently say that I don't think my sister will be voting for Trump in the next election. And so that led to a lot of, well, she's never getting my vote.
To like that's such a
So no, if you go to the September 8th meeting after they storm out, we like literally, and I'm sort of the leader on getting curbside recycling, so it had to transition to me, right? And I'm like, oh my god, just after all of that, now I have to talk to you about recycling. Oh, this is fun. And then my dad walks in. I'm like, oh my god, this is.
I am not capable of this right now.
No, and it was great because I had held it together. I had not cried. I had, you know what I mean? I, you know, felt like I had held myself together pretty well. And then my dad walks in and I'm just like crumbled.
So what did you, you know, after the meeting then, you know, do you talk to your father? Do you go back home with them? Do you
No, so I talked to my dad, and he walked me up to my car, made sure I got in it okay and stuff. And then he goes, "Your mom's gonna. I'm sure your mom will be calling you." And she actually did. I don't even think I was home yet, and she called. And then while she was, on the phone with me, I saw the mayor calling, and she's like, "Oh, are you gonna click over?" I'm like, "No, Mom, we're talking. I'm not." So I called the mayor back, and he wasn't as supportive. Even though he was supportive of the concept, he did not like my 90 seconds. I think he's grown to like my 90 seconds, but that night he didn't, and wanted to tell me that. And so I went to bed that night, feeling so torn, right? Like my family was proud of me, and yet, here, the mayor was disappointed, and I felt like, wow, like, and this is all I went to bed with, right? Like the messages from the rest of the city and community and country haven't come in yet. And
Yeah, did you hear from any of your other council members? I mean, they were there. They saw everything. They saw the emotion.
Not a damn word. Not a word.
And what would you?
And that hurt. Like, to me, when I think back about that night, Kyle, their silence it hurt my heart so much more than anything the haters said, because these are my colleagues, and whether or not you agree or disagree with the rainbow flag being flown, you got to show some kind of camaraderie and loyalty to one another. And the disrespect that was being shown towards one of their colleagues was unacceptable. To me, if that would have been any of my other colleagues, and they were being personally attacked by people at the lectern, I could not have stayed silent, even if I vehemently agreed with the haters, right? I would have. It's